Hello, so today's video is a little bit of a, hopefully shorter video, but who knows at this point. And it's just about a small little thing, but it's just been I don't know how to phrase it, like causing me more strife? I don't know how to phrase this video, but obviously by the title, it's about autism and like mourning the past, in the sense of mourning your past self before you got your diagnosis. When I first suspected and got my diagnosis, most of my struggle came from, currently accepting that it's what I have and accepting the fact that I will be living with it for the rest of my life. And that's what was the hardest thing, was I have to live with this for the rest of my life. I'm gonna be like this forever. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And now I found that I've come into almost complete acceptance. Of course, I'm never gonna be perfect. I'm gonna have times and stuff, but I've kind of come to terms, I think is the better word. Not really accepted it, but more like come to terms with like, okay, this is a struggle that I'm gonna have to deal with, and it's not always gonna be perfect, and there will be times in the future where I'm gonna hate it, and blah, 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 blah. That's just what's gonna happen. It's kind of my outlook on that aspect. But something that has been really hard, and this didn't come into fruition until I actually got my diagnosis and started to sit with it, is that I will never be able to go back in the past and tell my old undiagnosed self that I am autistic. And I think I touched on this in another video, but it's been the thing that I feel like I have made almost not no progress on accepting, but the least amount of progress accepting. I think that anybody with a late or later diagnosis can understand where I'm coming from. And so this was also a thing of like, if you have a late diagnosis, how did you come into acceptance with it? I'm just honestly seeking advice instead of, not that I've ever given advice, just something that I just don't know where to go with, don't know what to do, can't really find the information that I'm seeking. I hope that makes sense. But I know it's something that everybody with a later diagnosis goes through, but they never talk about how they get through it and how they come to terms with it. And I was recently in Vegas, which is where I grew up from 0 to 18, and also during a Mercury retrograde if you care about astrology. But I've just had intense mourning of my past self before I knew about my diagnosis, and how I will never be able to go back and relive my life with this knowledge. All the things that I did and all the things that happened in my life, and I think back and I'm like, God, I wish I could just tell myself that I was autistic. I would have had a much better time. I would have, been able to live my life more to the fullest. I would have been more accepting. I would have not done this. I would have done this. I would have been okay with that. I would have stood up for that. It's hard not to think how much of a better life I would have led, as crazy as that sounds. And it's a horrible feeling knowing that you are, you have a regret, or feeling that you are living in the past. I'm not necessarily living in the past, I don't think, but I'm wishing that I could change the past, and that's never a good feeling. Especially because there's so much stuff out there that's like, don't live in the past, live in the present, live in the now, live in this, that. When I am going through these things, it's like, oh, I shouldn't be doing this. There's like a guilt that comes with feeling that way, but it's just how you're feeling, or it's how I'm feeling, and I can't control it. And I can try to push it off and be like, dismiss it by saying, this is invalid. I can't change anything anyway, so why am I dwelling on it, right? That's what I tell myself. But then, even though I tell myself, I just can't help but dwell on it because that's where my mind is going, if that makes sense. Like, I feel like I have no control over the fact that that's how I'm feeling. And it also is such a weird feeling to like mourn yourself and like mourn your childhood. Like, I'm mourning myself, but I'm right here, I'm alive. Like, why am I doing this? But it literally feels like I'm going through a grief process. Obviously, it's not as intense as losing a real person. I'm not trying to say they're even close to the same thing, because they're not. Okay, they're very different. This is not me trying to minimize losing somebody close to you. By using the word mourning, I'm not trying to compare it to the loss of a person. I just don't know what other word to use. This is its own separate thing. This has nothing to do with that. So please don't think I'm trying to say like, oh boo-hoo, my life is so hard, I lost my old self. It's like losing a close person, because I don't think it's like that, okay? I'm not stupid, but I just don't know what else to equate it to, because it does. It feels like you are mourning your past self. And basically this is just a video to say like, how do you come to terms with this? How do I accept the fact that I'll never be able to go back in time? Going and being in Vegas, being in my hometown, it's like, obviously, like, it's flooded with memories. Your hometown will always be, right? That's just what it is. And now those memories, instead of just being like, oh yeah, when I did that, oh yeah, when I did that, it's like, oh man, like, remember when I had this thing? Oh man, my autism was this, this, and this. Or, oh man, remember this memory? Oh man, now this makes so much more sense because now I know I have autism. Oh, I would have done this, I could have done that. This would have been so much more successful. I would have been so much happier. Would have been so much that. My life could have been so much better. Oh my God, I just wish I would have known. And it's also hard because like when I was going through all the situations, like I've known subconsciously, like I think I've said this before, I've known subconsciously my whole life that I was autistic. Like you always know that you are autistic, you just don't know that that's what it is. You know what I mean? Like I didn't know that that was the word for it. I just knew that there would be a word, and at one, or not a word, but I knew that there was something different. I just didn't know what that was. I had no idea in what realm could it be. I never would have thought it was some kind of neurological difference. I just couldn't put my finger on what it was. I couldn't explain it, but I always knew there was something. And there were so many times in my life that I thought like, wow, I'm going to look back in this moment and one day I will have a word and I will be able to explain to this person what it is, but right now I don't have that. And literally while I was going through high school, I had so many thoughts of just like, wow, there's going to be some day that I find out some information that I don't know, and I'll wish that I could go back and relive this experience the right way, but right now I don't have this information, and so I just want it to be over so that I could get that information. When will I get that information? Oh my God, I know it will happen someday, and I'll regret the fact that I didn't know it now, and I'll regret the fact that I couldn't tell this person. Like, I always so strongly knew that there was something that I was missing, and now I have that something, and now that exact thought of, wow, I wish that I knew what was going on so that I could tell this person or explain or tell myself. I have that answer now, but I can't go back and tell that to myself. You know, I can move forward and do the best that I can now, and I am doing that. I am moving forward and I'm being more vocal about it, obviously by making these videos, and I'm trying to understand and trying to be more like, okay, I have this, let's use it to its fullest, yes, blah, 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 right? I have this information, but now I just wish that I could go back and use that information. I guess I didn't, I'm not saying that I thought, oh, by now I would be perfect and I would have accepted this fact, but I just felt like, I just feel like I should be further in the process of this. Like, I feel like I'm not going anywhere with it. I feel like it's just almost getting worse. And I think also, you know, obviously being in my hometown triggered that feeling of like, wow, this memory, this memory, this memory, oh, this, and this, that person, that person, that person, oh, wow, blah, 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 blah. It's hard to be like, wow, I could have had such a better life growing up if I would have known this, but because I didn't, this happened. You know what I mean? I'm not saying like, I had the hardest life ever, blah, 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 because I don't think that at all. I think I am incredibly, I guess, lucky, and I'm incredibly thankful, and like, I'm so thankful every day in the situation that I grew up with, and I don't take it for granted. So it's not that I'm not saying like, oh, boo-hoo, woe is me, I have it harder than everybody. I'm living in an apartment that's better than the majority of a lot of people. Like, just that fact right there. So this isn't me trying to compare myself to anybody. This is just me saying my thoughts, I guess. Yeah, I guess because I am so lucky, I feel like, well, then I should be further in the process of this. And like, why am I dwelling on the past and blah, 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 blah. I don't know. I don't have a solution. I don't have answers. And that's why I'm making this video, because I'm trying to figure out like, where do I go from here? How do I get over this? How do I grow from this? How do I, you know, close the book that is my past before my diagnosis and move on? I'm doing great on the moving on thing. I'm just doing poorly at the closing the book and pushing it aside. Like, that's the part that I can't do. I'm moving on, but I'm also holding like that book in my hand of like all the past memories that I have. I just wish that I could just be like, you know? So if you also struggle with this, just let me know if you have any tips, any ideas, like, or maybe this is just something that simply takes time and I need to stop forcing it, and I need to just accept the fact that I am going to feel like this for a while, and I may feel like this for the rest of my life, and maybe I should just say that that's okay. Maybe that's just the answer, that I need to just be like, you know what, this is just how I'm gonna feel, this is how it's gonna be, it is what it is. And I tell myself that, but then something happens and I'm like, ugh, you know? I'm just kind of going in circles and blah 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 blah. But basically I'm just asking for any advice, any thoughts, any references or resources, or even just I totally get what you're feeling. Validation is nice. So anyways, that's it for this video. Yeah. Okay, bye.